In this video, we'll go over how to maintain your Bosch WTG series dryer. And not everybody in the building has this washer dryer setup. The sixth floor has something a bit different, but for the majority of the building, this is what you'll use. And the maintenance that we're going to go over today should be performed every 2 to 5 weeks, depending on how much you're using your unit. So as you know, there's the lint trap inside of the dryer, which is located in the very front. All you've got to do is pull it straight up and out and swing open the canister and clear out that lint. That should be done after every use. But there's actually additional steps that you should be taking to maintain the dryer. So what we're going to want to do is we just come down to the base of the dryer, and you've got these two little compartments here on the left and the right. The right side kind of looks like a speaker. What that actually is an air intake for the dryer, and so it sucks the air in through the front there, pulls it through the back of the dryer as the cycle is turning, heats that air, forces it through, and moves it through the compartment in the front where your lint is captured and down into the base of the dryer. And that's what we're going to look at right now. So what we're going to do now is we're going to come down to the little tab on the bottom left. We're going to press down, which will swing open a door. We see these two blue little levers. The left side is going to come up. The right side is going to swing down, and we can pull out that canister there. Maybe a little wet, not an issue. And there's actually going to be a second canister. This is the heat exchanger. There's a little handle on the bottom. Just give it a tug, and you can pull out the entire heat exchanger. And so now we're looking into what's called the maintenance cavity. And we'll shine a little light in here. So the reason we're performing this maintenance is efficiency. Your clothes will dry more efficiently if this is kept clean. B, we see that little white box on the left labeled L363. And what that box actually is the top of a water pump. Now, as your wet clothes dry from the heat from the dryer, that humid air is sucked down into the cavity, and as the water builds up, that pump will pump the water out to the back of the dryer and into a drain that's in the back of your closet. Now, if that pump gets filled with lint and hair and whatever else is coming through, that pump can clog up and will actually make the dryer inoperable completely. So we'll come back to cleaning out the cavity in just a minute. For now, let's take our heat exchanger and heat exchanger cap, and we'll take them over to our kitchen sink. Again, they may be a little bit wet, so they may start dripping on you. You might want to have a towel with you. So it's very important that before you actually start rinsing off the heat exchanger and the heat exchanger cap, you want to have some sort of screen in your kitchen sink. The lint that's going to come off of both your heat exchanger and heat exchanger cap can actually clog your drain lines locally, as well as clogging the building's drain lines. So we really want to capture as much of that lint in a screen and dump that screen into a trash can as much as possible. Okay, so we're going to start with the heat exchanger cap, and all we're going to be doing is running some hot water over the heat exchanger cap, getting all the lint we possibly can off of it. Yours is probably going to be pretty dirty. Again, this is a pretty well-maintained dryer. Then we're going to move on to our heat exchanger, and to clean this out, we're just going to allow that water stream, that warm water stream, to flow through all of these slots back and forth. And what you're going for is something like this, where you can see through it. Now, it may take you a little bit of time to get to this point where you can see straight through it, but over time, if you continually maintain this, you will get it cleaned out just by running that hot water through it. The reason it's kind of caked up in there is all of that moisture and lint will harden in there. And if anybody uses dryer sheets or something like that, that chemical will also kind of cake up in there. Okay, so now that we're cleaned out, we'll want to let the heat exchanger and heat exchanger cap dry out a little bit. To save time, we'll just kind of head right for it. And before we insert, we're going to want to clean out the cavity. And so all we're going to need for this is just a towel and probably a garbage can for any excess lint you pick up. And as I mentioned before, that hot, humid air goes through the lint filter down into the maintenance cavity and to the back. And so to clean it out, all we do is we take our towel and we just give it the best rub down that we can, dry up that water, pull out any loose lint, and you really just want to get as much as you can, get as deep as you can, go through the top there and just pull out as much as you can. And now we're ready to reinsert the heat exchanger. So we want to make sure that the handle is on the bottom. We just kind of get the placement right and push it in, make sure it's firmly pushed in all the way. Then we take the heat exchanger cap and we press it on in. Make sure it's in firmly, and we take the first lever on the right, move it up, second lever on the left, move it down, give it a tug, make sure it's in there snugly, and we can go ahead and close our door. And that's that. You successfully cleaned out your maintenance cavity on your dryer. Just a couple of points while I have you. Your dryer serial number is located on the bottom of the dryer door on the sticker. It begins with WTG, and you'll need that number when calling Bosch if you do require service on the unit. And one more thing to note that's not related to the dryer, but actually to the washer. You'll always want to leave the washer door just slightly ajar while not in use. I've noticed a lot of the rubber gaskets just inside of the washer door, that gray rubber gasket, they turn black for a lot of residents, and that's actually due to that rubber gasket not being able to dry out properly. So just leaving that door slightly ajar while not in use will actually allow the washer to dry out, and you won't get that black mildew ring around that rubber gasket. I hope this helps, and if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments section of this video so that just in case any other residents have the same question, they'll have the answer down there.